Well, this started on the 405 in the west side, we think near the federal building. A federal agency of some sort was following this and maybe went to a pursuit. California Highway Patrol now in pursuit as we're on the southbound 405. We're approaching, looks like we're approaching Howard Hughes, just past the Howard Hughes Parkway area as we're coming up on La Tierra. You can see speeds are really manageable. We'll use SkyMap 7 to give you the speeds, 50 miles an hour. We're not sure how many occupants are there, but it is a white Kia Soul. And what's going to happen right now is you can see the driver's hand is out the window doing some kind of motioning. We're not really sure what that's about there. But what's going to happen right now is we have to cross over LAX midfield. They're going southbound on the 405. We cannot go down the 405 with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit to the west. We're going to do a midfield cross over the LA International Airport for traffic. We're going to try to stay with this as best we can, but we're going to be offset by a couple miles due to the air traffic on the final approach for LAX. But that's the situation right here. Federal want, California Highway Patrol in pursuit, southbound 405 coming to Wood area, LAX area, and speed's manageable, and you can see that person waving out the window as SkyMap 7 has speeds of this going about 50 miles an hour, but we're going to cross overhead here at LAX, and we're going to stay with this pursuit as it continues southbound on the 405. Okay, kill it. Okay. Right. Yeah, you can't. Right. So yeah, continuing southbound on the 405, we're trying to get the clearance from LAX Tower to let us cross. We have not gotten that yet, but we are learning that the suspect was wanted for something that happened outside the federal building, right at Wilshire Boulevard in the 405 there. The federal building, again, we're not sure what that want was for, but federal police went into pursuit and they handed over to the California Highway Patrol as they continue southbound on the 405, still waiting for that clearance to catch up with this thing, but we're trying to get that right now. Right. Well, I think I could tell you, Mark, why that is the speed is, they're going so slow, they're going 50 miles an hour. It looks like you're going to be transitioning here. We'll see which way they go. They're eastbound or westbound on the 105. It looks like it's going to be westbound on the 105. All the traffic ahead of them just went at their normal 75 miles an hour, and again, traffic is pretty light here. Now we're getting westbound on the 105 on the south side of LAX. Again, we're getting our clearance right now to cross. That they let the CHP cross, but they're not letting us cross. But we'll try to get that handled here. So we're shooting on the north side of LAX, looking southbound as they continue westbound on that 105 freeway. 70 miles an hour we're seeing. Okay, that's good. We can go back in, Rob, where we established that there. So we can see that what speed they're going here. Not really sure, because you know the 105 ends here very soon. Ends at the shoreline here, but on the south side of LAX, going westbound on the 105, again, wanted by the federal agency at the federal building for something. CHP took over the pursuit on the 405, and that's where we're at, guys. Yeah. Well, we just got our clearance to cross LAX, so we're going right over the top. We're right over the terminal area now as we make our way southbound to catch up with this thing. And lots of traffic here on this westbound 405. That's all the traffic getting off at Sepulveda Boulevard for LAX. As soon as she gets past Sepulveda Boulevard, it's going to be clear sailing for the suspect. Again, wanted by possibly the FBI and the agencies involved at the federal building. But now we can get a close. We'll use extreme vision on Air 7 HD's camera to get in tight while we can and try to get a good look at the female here. She looks like she's wearing a dark colored shirt, maybe dark hair. Doesn't look like to be there anybody on the passenger side waving to everybody. Very strange behavior, waving to us up in the helicopter here. But appears to be a woman with dark hair and dark shirt, maybe a short haircut. Get a good look in there, Rob. I don't know why we got it here. We're going real tight with extreme vision. See what we can see here, but looks a little strange here, the way she's acting, waving her arm out the window, getting a good look at that Kia Soul as we continue, like waving to us like I'm okay or leave me alone. It's really hard to say what she's trying to do there, but we'll pull Sky Map 7 speed up, 44 miles an hour here. We may be getting off the freeway, so we're going to try to look at that. We are getting off at maybe El Segundo or maybe Sepulveda here. We'll take a look here. Might be Sepulveda as we go. Wait a minute, Norwalk Boulevard is the off-ramp, so that's going to put us down into the El Segundo area southbound on, that might be Sepulveda Boulevard. That's the exit, Sepulveda Boulevard southbound rather than northbound, which was completely jammed up as we come down Sepulveda Boulevard, just passing Imperial Highway. Driving pretty normally, nothing crazy, not blowing lights yet. We'll see where that goes, but very erratic behavior by the driver in this pursuit.
Smartphones, whether she is excuse me, listening in or even watching herself on the air, and maybe that's why she kept waving her hand out the window when we talked about her waving her hand. So we just don't know. But yeah, that speed, not crazy, thankfully, when you've got all this cross traffic now on Sepulveda Boulevard. You don't want people to be going this fast, but ideally it would be great if she would stop and end this, because even at these speeds, there is a potential danger to the public because of her trying to flee the police and her attention to that. She might not notice the other hazards that are ahead of her, and then we could end up with a crash. So this is something we want to avoid.
Yeah, Mark, what we're learning right now, we just got information from the feds there that she is wanted for reckless driving outside of the federal building there on Wilshire Boulevard. So what they did is they went into pursuit, called the CHP. So just reckless, and it looks like she's well. Now we're making a turn on, making a U-turn back, going back northbound on Sepulveda Boulevard, right at Holly and El Segundo. That's going to put her either back on that 105 freeway or into that traffic heading northbound on Sepulveda into the LAX areas. We're going back northbound here, but wanted for reckless driving in or around the federal property at the federal building, and CHP is taking it over here. And we got a real good look with extreme vision there as we went in real tight on the driver. Appeared to be medium length hair. Now we're trying to weave her way through traffic here as she approaches Mariposa on northbound Sepulveda. Sky Map is showing us that, but not willing to stop, not willing to give up. She just rolled up her window there as we take a look, and not really sure what her next move is going to be, but very erratic behavior by the woman driving this Kia Soul.
Yeah, it looked like the gentleman driving that truck looked like a gardening truck.
Wasn't going to let her in.
Either, trying to block her or maybe trying to get out of the way as he saw the CHP unit coming up. It's got to be unnerving. We see so many of these police pursuits. To see someone, next to you trying to avoid police.
Heading into a parking lot here.
Yeah,
this is
looking
some sort
like
of
a shopping center. Yep, on the west side of Sepulveda, Mark, and going to be driving around here. Again, this is at least the speeds are slow. Well, it's pretty fast if you want to say for a shopping center, 20, 25 miles an hour. Pedestrians around here. Looks like she's coming back out to the exit. Well, now we're going to be going back eastbound. That's Mariposa Avenue, and she's going eastbound on Mariposa from that shopping center, moving away from Sepulveda Boulevard into El Segundo.
All right, and what are the speeds you're looking at right now? It looks like 40-something miles an hour, and then slowing down as she's going through that intersection. Are we running a red light here? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, because the sun's setting there, Mark. The light was right in, and from our angle, we can't really see the traffic signals, especially in this light. Down low, you can when you're driving, but up here, it's hard to see. But at least she slowed down and going at speeds of what we're showing on Sky Map 7, 40, 45 miles an hour. Not too great speed. Not too dangerous or reckless at this point. Not sure what she was doing at the federal building, but she's coming up on a T intersection here, going back northbound on Nash Street from Mariposa, moving back towards the 105 freeway. Okay, just want to make sure, talking to Brennan, our pilot, make sure we're going northbound here. And you can see that we're moving back through the industrial area of El Segundo. That's where all the air and space manufacturing companies are at. And coming up on Nass Street at Maple. And that looks like it might have been a red light that she slowed down a little bit, but went right through as we approach the 105 freeway.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, we can tell you that we know it's a female driver. She was apparently driving recklessly outside the federal building, and that's when the pursuit began. It was initiated by federal police, and then they handed it over to the CHP. She was on the 405 and the 105 freeways for a while, and then got off at Sepulveda Boulevard and has been on
the 105 right now.
Crossing under the 105, has been on surface streets for at least I would say 3 minutes now. I think she got off around 5:15 p.m. Making a right-hand turn now. Where are we now?
Well, we've moved eastbound on Imperial Highway, we're paralleling the 105 freeway just south of it. Speeds again, we'll put Skywell as soon as we clear the building here. Lots of buildings. We're a little limited on our maneuverability here just because of what's called the Class Bravo airspace here. Now we're going back southbound on Douglas, Donald Douglas here, right from Imperial. Again, a little limited on what we can do down here. We have to talk to LAX, but we're working it out here as the slow speed pursuit of this reckless driver wanted by the feds continues here in the El Segundo area.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a deliberate move on her part, knowing that this is being that the units on the ground are being assisted by helicopters. That she's trying to deliberately kind of fly through restricted airspace at LAX and to try to shake the airborne units that are pursuing her.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen that tactic used before, Mark, not in this case, law enforcement, if LAX had to. But what I want to show here is that looked like CHP was kind of setting themselves up for a pit maneuver here, getting a little bit closer to do a pursuit intervention technique of disengaging that rear end with the front end of that patrol car. Now, that's up to the supervisor in their pursuit. They take things into consideration like the speed, the area, other drivers, weather conditions, whether to deploy that, the officer driving that car to deploy that pit maneuver. And it looks like he was kind of moving in to do that. It may be the case here, again, not a very residential area, not a lot of traffic right now. Weather conditions couldn't be any better. So we may see a pit maneuver by the CHP here shortly.
Yeah, what is the optimal, what is the speed that, the maximum speed for a pit maneuver? Isn't it like 35 miles an hour or below?
Yeah, Michelle, it really depends on the conditions, and that's up to the supervisor in the pursuit. There are some minimums and maximums they use, and it varies by department policy. But the main concern here is the public safety. The public safety. You can actually see her with extreme vision there, leaning on the horn and honking at the cars as she makes that turn onto East El Segundo Boulevard, going westbound now, back towards Sepulveda Boulevard. But it really depends on the agency, Michelle, how they do that, when they do that, and it's the supervisor's call to see that. But it looks like from my experience, looks like they're getting ready to maybe try that. And again, she's only, lots of people watching it from overhead. It looked for a second that was on the street, a little deceptive here. Yeah. But now we make that, making a U-turn back. I was going to try to pit her there, but it didn't happen. Now we're going to be back. Gundo. You're looking like they're getting ready for that pit. But again, she's only wanted for reckless driving at this point. The speeds look to be okay, but they may hold off until they get her to make another turn. And now she's crossing over the median there. And now is a different story. Now we're going eastbound and westbound lanes head on, which is never a good sign. And she's trying to get around all that traffic there. Luckily, not a lot of traffic right now in this industrial area. And now the CHP has to figure out a way to negotiate all that traffic eastbound you see on the bottom of your screen to get to her. You can see that looks like El Segundo PD blocking traffic there. CHP right behind her as they make that southbound turn back onto Douglas Street from El Segundo.
Wow. Well, that was certainly some reckless driving right there, and that does up the ante and adds a little more urgency to the effort to bring this person to heel, this woman driving. And again, it began with reckless driving at the Westwood Federal Building, either on the property or adjacent to the property, somewhere on federal property, because it was Federal Protective Service police who initiated the pursuit. They started going after this woman, and then when she got onto the highway, onto the freeway, onto the 405 freeway heading southbound from there, the highway patrol took over the pursuit. And now she's in El Segundo, southbound on Douglas Street, in the city of El Segundo, which right now the traffic is not that bad, at least not on Douglas Street. But there is, when you have this sort of a scene at this time of day, you're going to have cross traffic, you're going to have pedestrians on the sidewalks. You have the potential at every turn for a bad outcome, even though the speeds at this point are not crazy. They are still, this is a person who's fleeing the police and showing a complete disregard for the rules of the road.
CHP here, Mark, looks like they're edging ever so closely to her, trying to find the right time and the right place to do this pit maneuver. But every time they get just a little bit close, you can see she picks up her speeds now up to 45, 50 miles an hour. And I think it's going to happen here shortly. It looks like we may get a pit very soon.
Here they are closing in. Okay.
And she's now going,
wrong way again, going the wrong way down the street.
That's right at Rosecrans Avenue, a little bit busier intersections. We make that eastbound turn onto Rosecrans. Again, now going into opposite traffic in that left-hand turn pocket. We're getting a little steep here, so we're going to correct that as we continue here. Showing the propensity to go into opposite lanes of traffic. She's just trying to get around this traffic she sees, and she thinks the best way to do that is going oncoming traffic. Here it comes. Looks like she's slowing down. But again, that CHP officer looking at all those parked or stopped cars, I should say, don't want to pit that suspect into those parked cars and maybe cause an injury here.
Mm-hmm. And there's that railroad bridge. This is El Segundo, I believe, at Aviation, right? Yeah,
yep,
I'm pretty familiar with this area. I used to live not far from here. And now southbound on Aviation, correct?
Rosecrans. Again, speed's picking up, but you see that CHP cruiser creeping ever so closely, trying to get in the right position, the right time. Ideally, they'll try to get her when she's in a turn, when there's not a lot of cross traffic around. So they're just waiting for the right moment to do it as safely as possible. Again, we don't know that they've been given the green light for the pit, but it looks to be like they're trying to set that up. Speeds right now 41 miles an hour, very ideal for a pit, especially in a turn. You can see him setting up on the driver's side there, trying to get in. But every time he gets closer to her, she kind of puts it on. And now we're coming up on, I think this is Marine Avenue, making that westbound turn, back westbound on Marine, still in now
Manhattan Beach.
So you can be assured that El Segundo has been notified, CHP is notified. There is a CHP helicopter overhead who's notifying all the agencies that this pursuit has gone through and may be going through to make sure they're aware, maybe help out with blocking traffic however they can assist.
Well, we're seeing a number of pedestrians. Very, very dangerous situation here for if they want to employ the pit maneuver. So many things to take into consideration, as you mentioned, JT, with traffic and pedestrians, and just hard to find that right moment. Continuing now into Manhattan Beach. It's been on surface streets since about 5:15 p.m. after she got off the 105 freeway on exiting Sepulveda Boulevard. And really got desperate within the last 5 minutes. We saw her cross over a median and drive into oncoming traffic. Has done that a few times and just is refusing to pull over.
Heading westbound now, right? Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Mark. You got to just say that I'm going to pull out just a little bit to see that Chippy. Maybe I thought he had backed off a little bit, but he did not. Westbound on Marine at Meadows Avenue in Manhattan Beach. Again, speeds with SkyMap 7 showing 40 miles an hour. Now he's starting to creep up a little bit more, and we'll see as the speed increases here. 45. This may be it right here. Looks like he may disengage. As soon as he got there, was ready to do it. That's what it was. Those two cars stopped right in the middle of the street there where he decided to do it. And that's the problem. You hear that those emergency signs back on Sepulveda Boulevard, back northbound Sepulveda Boulevard, moving back towards the 405, getting into position here for the pit. So we want to make sure we get that. But we'll see where this happens. Right now, we're on Sepulveda here. We're the speeds of the pit a little bit faster. She's up to 55 there, so you can see how that chippy officer gets on her, and then she puts it a little faster. There's 60, almost 60 miles an hour. So. Right. She has an idea what's going to be happening here and trying to avoid that.
Well, anyone who's lived in Southern California for a few years knows what a pit maneuver is. And, she seems to be very aware of
what to cross over the median. She's crossing over. And, you've got the CHP vehicle, which is a Ford Explorer. It's got a high center of gravity and a little bit of ground clearance. So that median is actually less of a problem for their vehicle than it is for this Kia Soul. But now she is heading back. This would be southbound on Sepulveda Boulevard in Manhattan Beach. This is near 30th Street, and she's just making U-turns on the street. CHP wanting, it appears, trying to get in position for the pit, but they haven't been able to do it yet. All right, now they're heading into a shopping center.
Now there it is. There's the pit maneuver right there at 33rd and Sepulveda. You saw that shop 937, rooftop number 937, really wanted Still got it in drive. Really one. He's going to walk up. Okay.
We got trouble.
Yeah, come on out. He's going to take it easy on her. Open the door.
On her. And the key thing for her is to not let that thing move. Do not let that vehicle move, because they'll consider it a deadly weapon, and they will open fire if they believe they're in danger from this person driving that vehicle toward them.
Yeah, it looks like they're talking to her. They see her hands, that they're out front. They're asking her maybe to put it in gear. It looks like the negotiation's on. The window's open. My guess is going to open the door, and they're going to take her into custody. They're going to easily walk her. The weapons are away right now, and she is cooperating. Again, we didn't hear that there were any weapons involved other than the car and being a reckless driver, but she looks distraught. She looks like she might have some kind of emotional or maybe a mental need here. So they're negotiating where their CHP handling this, trying to figure out what the story is, trying to negotiate her out of the car under her own power so they don't have to use force to get her out. So that's always the first option here, and it looks like they're using a lot of restraint and then talking with her, the female officer being waved in by the supervisor to come in and maybe talk to her and have her step out of the vehicle, letting her root around in her purse is a little bit unusual, but they're right there and maybe asking her for identification. But there's obviously something else going on here that they're aware of, so the use of force has de-escalated quite a bit as she walks out of the car in own power, handling that notebook and being taken into custody.
Wow, and dressed like she was conducting business. I mean, it looks,
very bizarre.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what exactly was going on that started this whole thing to begin with. But you see that this woman is now being held. It is unusual that they allowed her to root around in her purse. Michelle and I both exchanged a look like, what? Because that is not something they would do with any other types of suspect. Now she's waving at the helicopters up above. So yeah, this is definitely someone who is troubled in some way. And these officers dealing with her in a way that was designed to not provoke and to not evoke violence and to cause more problems for everyone involved. So they were able to do this in a way that brought her into custody without anybody getting hurt, which is the whole objective.
Taking a look now at the right side of your screen from earlier, you can see that this pursuit continued down surface streets, and the CHP did a remarkable job of bringing it to an end. They were very careful. They took great care to employ that pit maneuver carefully in a way that no one else was injured or no other cars were hit. And here you can see them moving in, and this is where she got real desperate, driving over this median and then going into the oncoming traffic. We saw that twice where she drove over medians, and then she eventually went down kind of a narrow street, and that's where they were able to do that pit maneuver. But we don't know a lot about how this all began. We do know that it began outside the Federal Building on Wilshire Boulevard, and that she was driving recklessly there, and that's when the pursuit began.
All right, and it is ended now in Manhattan Beach at 33rd and Sepulveda Boulevard at a shopping center, it would appear, where the pit maneuver was employed. The woman was talked out of the vehicle, and she is now in custody on her way, we presume, to federal. Will she go to federal custody? That's something that we're not sure about. The initial offense took place on federal property. The initial pursuit began there. So that's a question for, to see which jurisdiction will end up taking control of her. But the main thing is she's in custody, nobody's hurt, and they can now go about their day.
Okay. All right.